Well, Hannah, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
I kind of want to start. What's your role at M3 so our listeners can know what you
Yeah.
do?
I am a staff accountant with M3, so I started just over a year ago. I basically run a full cycle close for accounting for 14 different hotels. And on my day to day basis, it's really just answering the general manager's questions, keeping the bank rec up to date, bank reconciliation, and, just kind of making sure everything is good. No mistakes, and just, going day by day, finding things and making sure everything is working right.
Absolutely. And I heard you just had a promotion,
I
correct?
did, yes, ma'am. I started last year. I was an accounting associate, and I got promoted to staff accountant.
Awesome. Well, congrats on that.
Thank you.
So I know M3 stole you from the hotel
Yes.
world, and now you're on the corporate side. So when did your hotel career begin?
Halloween 2014.
Okay, Halloween. That sounds
Yes.
like an interesting night to start on.
Very interesting, yes. It's very memorable. I was a bartender. I started, I was hired early October, but then my official hire date was October 31st. And it was a special night because there was a Halloween-themed wedding group staying at our hotel.
Okay.
So I got to see a whole lobby full of adults and children alike in Halloween get up.
So I have to ask, what do you remember any of the costumes? Was there a favorite?
I don't have a favorite. There was the classics of like a pirate or princess. I will say one of the adults was an astronaut.
Okay.
So that was a little odd to me. I don't know. I don't know how
I
or
want to be
why.
an astronaut when I grow up.
Yes, and it was literally just an astronaut suit. It was super cool, and I just kind of got to see all of these unique people just walking around. And when the bride and groom, actually, they were staying at the hotel, so when they came back, I got to see the bride and groom. They were also in costume.
Well, that
So,
sounds like
yeah.
an interesting wedding. So you started in Halloween of 2014.
Yes.
What were the next steps after that in your hotel career?
So I was a bartender, and then I went to front desk, and there I was starting to train in accounting. The assistant general manager was teaching me accounting, and then I left that hotel and went to a second hotel where I became sales coordinator. And I was the sales coordinator for the duration until 2021 when I came here.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. So with that, I think I heard 2 hotels you've helped run, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So with 2 hotels in your background, I know you have to have some crazy, bizarre,
Oh, yeah.
weird, happy, sad stories. So I'm going to start with a loaded question.
Mhm.
What's the most bizarre thing you've ever seen happen at a hotel?
Photo shoots.
Photo shoot.
Just not even guests. They come in off of the street,
Okay.
complete strangers, and they'll just walk around the lobby. They'll go to the main lobby bathroom and change, and then they'll just photo shoots.
I will say, hotel lobbies are pretty.
Yes.
Did you see that more as Instagram got bigger? Like influencers coming in for good backgrounds?
Not necessarily whether it was Instagram or not. It was when I started at Embassy Suites, or that was where I went to my second hotel. And that's a new build, so it's a lot fancier. It's got a lot more updated features. So when they opened, we saw a good chunk of people coming in trying to get a photo shoot
Okay.
in the hotel, because there's a live wall, plant wall and fountain waterfall thing that they absolutely adored. People wanted to go by the pool and have a little photo shoot, which was an indoor pool, so I don't know why. I mean, if it's an outdoor, maybe I can understand it, but it was an indoor pool.
Pretend you're in Florida or something like that.
Well,
I will say
yes.
that Embassy Suite is stunning. I've been in
Yes.
it a couple of times myself because I know it's where we stay. It's how we met you.
Yes.
So other than photo shoots, what else have you seen that's just crazy? And you're like, why are they doing that?
There's been a bachelorette party come
Okay.
through there just randomly after their night ended out and about. They came and they sat in the lobby, and they just a huge group of them, just random girls, and not random, but to them it was a bachelorette party. They sat there, they played their little games,
Yeah.
and that was weird for me. I was like, what? Why are you doing a bachelorette party in the middle of the lobby? Wouldn't you want to go take
You
that
can go
private?
elsewhere.
You
Yeah.
know?
Were they
had-
dressed in all the white and black? And...
Yes. So the bride had full white on,
Okay.
and all of her bridesmaids had pink. Like, not just a baby pink. It was like magenta pink.
Pink.
So it was like the brightest pink, kind of like think Legally Blonde pink. So that was really funny to me. I was like, okay, I mean, I can understand not wanting to go to the room just yet, so maybe stay for a few drinks, but having full blown party antics in the lobby. Yeah, there for a minute. So when we were getting ready to wind everything down and close the bar, and at one point before we started winding everyone down, they started to get a little rowdy. So we're like, guys, we're gonna need you to go on up, head upstairs. And they're like, well, what if we can we go swim? And we're like, no, the pool is closing. I was like, you know, they were adults, so there were beverages, and I was like, no, let's just go on upstairs and you guys can finish your antics there, because the wedding party had their own floor, so I knew that if they were going to disturb any guests, it'd be their own. So
That's good. Well, you have below and above too.
true, very true. But they were good after that.
that.
Once they got up to their room, they were okay.
Awesome. So, in your role as the front desk attendant, did you ever get any unruly guests or just think the world owes them something or anything like that?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay.
There's too many stories to tell. Too
Well,
many.
give us a few.
So for one instance, there was a dance group that travels and they compete over at the Gas South Arena. And one of the moms decided that she was so mad because her room wasn't next to all of her other teammates. The only reason it wasn't is because she checked in first, and the only room that became available was not with that group. And our agents tried to tell her, if we move you to this available room, you will not be by your people.
Obviously, interfere with other people's room.
Correct. So she threw a hissy fit. She was not having it. And we told her time and time again. Sometimes there's just no getting through to some of them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you have to get a manager involved. And if the manager still can't calm them down, we always give the option of, well, you're available, you're able to leave this property.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to stay with us. We'll give you a refund and you can stay elsewhere.
Yep.
And when we kind of thread that one out, they tend to back off.
So do you have any other stories in that regard?
I mean, sometimes, for the most part, we can typically get guests, pacified and
Mm-hmm.
and consoled. There are times where sometimes it just doesn't happen and they refuse to leave. So we do have to require the authorities to come and escort them off the property.
We have heard that
So.
twice today already from two other podcast guests we
Yes.
had.
Mm-hmm.
How many times did you personally have to call authorities on people?
Me personally, just once,
Okay.
thankfully.
And what about your time at the hotel? How many times would you say they were there?
At my second hotel, they were there a good 10 times.
Wow.
I personally called once because on Thanksgiving,
Mm-hmm.
I had worked the desk. It was during the pandemic.
Yep.
And a guest became very, very irate, was not listening, was not, communicating, and actually attempted to block me from entering my back office. And so with that, I said, nope, and called 911. I made sure to, when he was backed away from the office, I went to the back office, I shut myself in, and I waited until the police got there. And I removed myself from that hostile situation.
As
So
you should.
I was very, very thankful that I was able to get to the back without being harmed.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my personal time of having to call the police. But yes, they've been on property about 10 times, maybe a dozen.
It's crazy these things
Mhm.
happen at hotels. I feel like one would never expect, and that's actually a very nice
Right.
hotel you used to work
Yes,
at. It's not
yeah.
one where you're like, oh, I'm not going to stay there
Right.
type thing.
And sometimes people just become so entitled and so they always have this concept that customers are always right, no matter what.
Yeah.
But my general manager, and that's what I really did like about my administration there, was that they were adamant. If someone is disrespecting you or about to become violent or hostile, you do not have to put up with it. You can call the police and get them escorted off property. We will not have a problem with that. You are able to do it. And unfortunately, those were the times where it had to be done, where
Mhm.
we just could not handle the guests any longer. They were too hostile. They were bringing too much confrontation. And we just finally had to say, okay, enough's enough. And an officer would come out. And in that other perspective is we had a really good working relationship with Gwinnett County Police.
Okay.
So that was really good. We were very kind to them whenever they came, and they were always respectful of us. And my general manager always made a point to reach out to the officers and say, hey, you're always welcome at our hotel if you just want to stop in the middle of the night, or if you want to, take a little break, use the restroom, eat breakfast. He was 100% all about it. He said, we'll take care of you if you take care of us.
That's awesome. So. It sounds like you had some great management that really empowered you to stay safe and work hard and all of that. You mentioned the pandemic, and I'm curious, with the lack of services that hotels were able to provide in that time period as far as like housekeeping and things like that, did you ever get any complaints during that time?
Oh, we got plenty.
Okay.
Plenty. So, sometimes guests are just, they think it's going to be a regular thing, even though we're in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
Our services, as far as housekeeping are concerned, it was very limited. We would only enter the room every 7 days to actually do a full deep clean. Every 3 days, a housekeeper would go in and refresh the towels and refresh the sheets. But a true blue deep clean wouldn't happen until the 7th day of your stay.
Okay.
So if you weren't there that full 7 days, you just kind of got the little light clean, and if you needed anything, they could have always come down to the front desk or call. And unfortunately, people they're like, no,
they had opinions about it
every day. Yeah, they wanted service every single day. We wanted this, and so we actually had one guest that demanded that sheets and towels be left at her door every single morning.
Every single morning?
Every single morning.
I can tell you, I don't want to put on a fitted sheet every single morning. That's a task in itself.
I know. I don't know. I would never. Me personally, never. No. I hate, those fitted sheets were the worst.
Yes.
They are the worst, just in my own personal life. But having had to clean hotel rooms while I worked the pandemic, I do not know. I would not want to do that.
So I didn't realize that you kind of had multiple hats during the pandemic.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Did you ever find anything like crazy left in hotel rooms, or nice belongings people left behind?
There's been a couple of wallets, of course. I personally found a wedding ring.
Okay.
An engagement ring, I guess you can call it. So I made sure to personally call the guest back and say, hey, listen, I have this. If you're able to just turn around and come and get it, do you need me to ship it? And it wound up having to be shipped. And I personally packaged it and sent it straight and took it straight to FedEx and made sure.
You personally did that.
I made sure. And then, of course, a guest had left a laptop and some working equipment. So this specific guest had dealt with a couple of different people before he got to me. Okay. And when he finally got to me, he was just so irritated. And I was like, okay, what can we do? What do I need to do? What is going on? Like, what do we need to happen? And so he told me specifically, he's like, I just need it in the mail today. I need it in FedEx position or property today. I need my stuff. And so, again, I personally packaged his belongings and drove it over to FedEx to make sure I got a tracking number and everything. And I had him on my personal cell phone. And I said, this is the tracking number. And he could hear FedEx on in the background. And so he really appreciated that I went and did that for him. And I went above and beyond to get him that, because it had been about a 2-week ordeal. He was dealing with it. And I happened to be working at the front desk when he called back, and he's like screaming, going off. He's like, I need my work laptop. And I'm like, hang on, let's rewind. What are we talking about? Yeah. What do we need? Let's discuss this. And he goes, okay. So he took a breath, and then he tells me everything. And so we took care of him. And he was like, you are the most helpful person ever.
Well, props to you for keeping a good attitude in the midst of everyone's bad attitude, especially in the pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah. So then, obviously, you were a sales coordinator. Mm-hmm. Was that any less interesting than checking in and checking out guests, since you were contacting corporate places and things like that? Like, what did that entail?
That's not any less interesting, because with doing corporate events, yes, you contact and you're professional and you speak with people to try and get corporate people to get rooms and meetings and everything booked. Mm-hmm. But you also have a social aspect. So we've had people book birthday parties, graduation parties, concierge. Yes, too. Yes, absolutely. So there's been several different events that is held. It's not just corporate. We do love our corporate people, but you know, sometimes you do get that social people in there, and sometimes those social people are not. They're not as nice. So
they're only there for a little while.
Correct.
They don't keep coming back.
Correct. Yes.
Did you have a favorite event that you helped host? I attended I think it was the 100th anniversary
of Hilton.
Party. Yes, I was there for that. Did you help plan that one, or was that before?
I did help plan that one.
Okay, it was a great event.
Thank you. My director of sales, Paula, and we kind of threw something together. We knew we wanted to do something because it's 100 years of Hilton, and so we threw something together. Of course, there was a lot of information and little packages that we can kind of pull from, because Hilton, of course, full across this country and the world. Yes. They were celebrating everywhere. So definitely that one's on one of my tops, is the 100 for Hilton celebration. Another one that I really enjoyed was a wedding. Okay. I helped plan start to finish. I organized it. I spoke with the mother-in-law nearly every day during the planning of it, but from start to finish, I got her the linens, I got her menu set, everything. I even helped organize the day. I was there the day of the wedding from, I think, 7 a.m. until about 8:30 p.m. Wow. Helping set up, helping clean, helping, plate, because they had a plate at dinner. And so we pre-plate those and then hand them all out. So I was there all day helping with that. So that was kind of one that's special to me, is that I got to be a part of someone's day from start to finish.
Absolutely. So now you can put wedding planning on your resume too.
I can. I certainly can.
Yeah, and you can help your friends out, family. That's a hard task, wedding planning is.
It is, yeah.
So I'm assuming we're around the same age, and I used to watch Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, which took place at a hotel. Did you watch that show? I
did. I loved that show.
Me too. So is working at a hotel like anything like that? Do you see anyone ever hopping on those like luggage carts, going around with their legs?
It's yes and no. Okay, so the hotel, it'll depend on the type of property and the location that you're at. If you are in downtown Atlanta or something, those hotels will be a little bit fancier and a little bit more of what you would see on Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. Mm-hmm. For the local hotels, we didn't have those large luggage carts that you see. Those had started to be phased out for some hotels, and so they're the smaller luggage carts where it's just that one side, and because it kind of does like an L shape type thing, and so there's just this one long rod where you can hang stuff on, and then it has the base where you can put your luggage, and it rolls. So
I don't think I've seen one of these.
Yes, no, I know these. Everyone hates them. Don't worry, I hate them. I hated them because they were tough to maneuver. I mean, the big ones were tough to maneuver, but these were worse for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But yes, you do get kids trying to climb onto the luggage carts and riding them down the hallway. And, if we ever caught them in the lobby, we did have to tell them to get off because, you could hurt yourself.
Like, go upstairs and do that so I cannot see you.
I don't need to see you. If I don't see it, it doesn't happen.
Yep.
But no, we did have guests try to do that a lot. A lot of the kids, they love to do that. And we're like, we try. If the parent put them on like a cooler that was on top of it, that was a little bit more stable.
Okay. Because
the bottom of the cart wasn't that solid carpeted wood. It was metal, and it had little prongs, and you could easily slip a foot through there and trip and fall and break your leg.
It sounds like it could be a disaster.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely when you throw kids into the mix.
Yes. I mean, putting them on like a piece of luggage that's flat,
yeah,
maybe. That's a little safer. They have something to hang on to.
Yeah.
But we're like, just don't do it in front of us.
Were there any other like overlays between like the show and working at a hotel? There was Mr. Mosby and all. I know you guys probably didn't have like the singers and stuff like that, but was there anything else that you're like, oh, that's kind of similar?
So, we didn't have a bellhop. That was, I forgot his name.
Edwin, maybe? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Escoban?
Yes, I think Edwin was maintenance guy, wasn't he?
I don't know, but I've
Yeah.
seen that guy in some Allstate commercials now,
Yeah.
I think. So he's making his career, I guess.
Yes. So, but, you know, we do have the maintenance person who goes and fixes everything,
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't have just one person. We have a team. So there was the
Okay.
chief engineer and then like 3 other people under him. So he wasn't just one person to fix so many rooms. But we did have the engineer thing down pat. We had the Mr. Mosby, which was our general manager.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of the one who would go out and, you know, deal with the frustrating guests.
Yes.
And,
Did you have a bell? Do you remember the bell?
You know, we didn't at first.
Okay.
Because it's a new build, so it opened in 2017, and at first we did not have a bell.
Gotta have a bell.
At some point within that year, somehow, some way, a bell came to live at the hotel.
I'm
Don't
for
know
it.
how.
I'm for it.
And so all of a sudden, some of the front desk agents were using it when they would go to the restroom.
Okay.
And so they would just leave it, and then you're in the back office, and all of a sudden you hear like banging on
Ding,
the bell, and I'm like, what? And so we had to like do a double take of like, wait, what's going on? And what we did do, not necessarily a bell for the guests, we did a doorbell for front desk to ring the back office.
Okay.
So if they were really busy at the desk, if it was just one person at the desk and they were super, super busy, we got a doorbell and we kind of put it underneath the desk so they could reach under, press the doorbell, and it'd ring to the back, and then somebody from the office would come out front and help them.
That is very creative and very efficient. I like that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Unfortunately, that was kind of in the later of my stages there. So it wasn't until about like it was about 2019 when
You're
that
like,
kind
why
of,
now? Why not at the beginning?
Yes. So around 2019 was when it came to light and came to live with us, and so that actually really helped our guests or our employees, so they weren't so crowded and our guests didn't have to wait as long.
Well, that is awesome. Okay, so now kind of moving on to some hotel myths, and since you did clean some rooms, is it true the remote is the dirtiest thing in the room? Because I would vouch the hairdryer.
You know, I believe it that the remote is the dirtiest. I think I cleaned remotes about 20 times whenever I'd clean a room just to be safe. I would also go to venture to say the telephone.
Oh, I never use the telephone.
See, most adults don't really use it. If they don't need to, they're not going to use it. It's the children. If there are children in the room, I can't tell you how many children have been playing with the phone and called the front desk just by pressing 0, and it's just all you hear in the background is them pressing buttons, and you know, then you hear a parent, no, don't do that. But you know, children, God love them, but they're not always the cleanest. They have sticky fingers. And so I venture to say that maybe the telephone would be the next one.
Okay, so stay away from the remote, telephone, hairdryer.
Yes.
Got it. And then earlier today we were talking about another one. Did you ever find left money in like a Bible or the hairdryer bag or anything like that?
No.
No?
It was mostly the safe.
They forgot it in the safe?
Yes. I don't know why. They would be, you know, when housekeeping would go through to clean the room, that's one of the things is they open all the drawers to make sure nothing was left.
Yeah.
And then they'd open the safe. If the safe was locked, they'd call maintenance to get them to come up and unlock the safe. And we found wallets, watches, earrings, out of sight, out of mind, I guess.
You know, I can't say much. I've lost several sets of keys, so I'm not one to talk, but crazy that much stuff is left.
I don't think many of our housekeepers check the Bibles for money. I will say that.
Okay.
I don't necessarily. There could be several hundreds of dollars in those
hiding
Bibles.
In the hotel. It's like an Easter egg.
You know, no, I don't think they check the Bibles when they clean.
Okay.
So
very interesting. So I'll leave us on one last question. What do you wish guests knew coming into a hotel?
If we say we are sold out, we are sold out. We do not have a stash of rooms in the back just waiting for our value members. While we do love our value members, we don't hold on to rooms.
You're losing money.
Right. So if we say we're sold out, we are sold out. We can't just vanish.
We can't create a room for you.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like I've made a joke to one of my regular customers who watched a guest come in and ask if we had rooms, and that whole thing ensued of, no, we don't. And I made a joke to my guest. I was like, what did he think I was going to do? Go out and build him a room?
I can see you out there with the hard hat on,
You know,
the hammer,
nope.
screwdriver maybe.
That is one thing I never did at hotels. I never touched tools to fix something in the hotels. I could maybe unclog a toilet, but that's about it.
Hey.
I can't fix AC.
You did enough. You had multiple hats already.
Housekeeping, food and beverage. Like, I didn't need, I left the maintenance to the maintenance men. That's the one thing I never did. So I could not picture myself out with a hard hat building somebody a room just because they wanted one. But yeah, no, just, be kind and courteous. And if they say they're sold out, they're more than likely sold out.
Sold out.
The only people I think who will block off rooms for their value members are people in like resort areas in Florida or California.
Very high end.
Right. They may hold rooms.
Okay.
But if you're coming to Duluth, Georgia, or say Helen, Georgia, somewhere like that, they're not going to have just rooms set aside. They're just not. So if they say they're sold out, they're sold out.
All right, everyone listening, if they say they're sold out, they are sold out.
For sure, yes.
Hannah, we appreciate your hospitality for dealing
you.
with all those people and joining us today. Do you have any last minute thing you'd like to add today?
No, ma'am.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
and
having
we hope
me.
to have you on again.
Absolutely. I'd love it.
Awesome.